Hey everybody, welcome to the latest series preview here at the Hockey Writers YouTube channel. My name is Jacob Billington, joined with Zach Martin and Ryan Szporer. I'm covering the Hurricanes and the Montreal Canadiens as we head into the Eastern Conference Final. First off, how you doing, guys?
Good, you?
Not too bad. Zach, how are you?
Yeah, doing good. Can't complain. Finally ready to talk some Eastern Conference Final hockey for once.
I know you've had quite a bit of time to wait here. You've had 12 days off before getting to cover the Hurricanes. And sometimes Guy Boucher always said rest is a weapon.
Yeah.
Some people think that rest might let you get a little bit rusty. It'll be interesting to see how the Hurricanes come out of the gate with 12 days off. But before we get too far into what comes after those 12 days, let's talk about how they got 12 days off. So talk about their journey to the Eastern Conference Final. Of course, they swept the Senators, they swept the Flyers, but I feel like there's a ton to their game, even more than just represented by an 8-0 record.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a penalty kill that's gone 38 for 40. The best penalty kill that's left out of the four teams. Could be the best if Boston didn't go 23 for 24 in the first round and have a 95.8%. So there's that if Buffalo decided to score more than one power play goal. But talk about that second line. We talk about a lot, Jacob, over the last couple previews, is the fact that 31 points combined plus 25. They're one of the hottest lines in the league right now in terms of the playoffs. And talk about Freddie Anderson. I mean, 1.12 goals against, 950 save, 2 shutouts, leads in a lot of the categories. He's been rock solid. I mean, that top line of Aho, Svechnikov, and Jarvis, yeah, they maybe only have 5 goals and 11 points, but they've only allowed 1 5-on-5 goal the entire playoffs. So I think that's not really what's been talked about a lot. And honestly, this is the healthiest the Hurricanes have made it to the Eastern Conference Final, which I know we'll talk more about that. But honestly, it's just everything's kind of gone the right way for the Hurricanes. Nothing's really changed. They've played the same way all 8 games, and they come out with 8 wins.
Yeah, and I mean, they've had the advantage of only playing 8 games. Obviously, they worked hard. They won. They deserved all 8 wins. But when you're in an 8-game sample size, it's hard to point out any flaws. They've just been a flawless team so far. Ryan, it's been a bit of a more stressful route to get for the Canadiens to get here. 2 Game 7s. I mean, Alex Newhook, the hero in both. Talk to me about how the Canadiens got here.
I'd say it's a combination of Alex Newhook's heroics and Jakub Dobeš just being solid. As we discussed in the last time we did this type of preview, the top line of Nick Suzuki between Cole Caulfield and Juraj Slafkovsky, they've been fairly quiet, so it's been kind of offense by committee, and the Canadiens' depth has really shown through to their credit. But without Jakub Dobeš, rookie goalie who joins Ken Dryden as the only rookie goalie to win multiple Game 7s in a single playoff, the Canadiens obviously aren't here.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like I said, it's been kind of a stressful route for them. 7 games against the Lightning, 7 games against the Sabres. But like you mentioned, Dobeš has been fantastic, especially in those Game 7s. And the team as a whole just looks really good most of the time. There's a couple of games where you point to and it's like, ooh, really? But most of the time, they've been a fantastic team.
Sure.
So you mentioned the top line. Are they going to be one of the storylines for you heading into this series? What are some things you're going to keep an eye on?
I mean, you kind of have to. I don't think that they have a chance against the Hurricanes if they aren't getting scoring from their top line. Of course, if now Alex Newhook pulls another Alex Newhook and scores, 6 goals against the Sabres? Who knows? But yeah, obviously the Hurricanes are the cream of the crop in the Eastern Conference, and the Canadiens, and they play a very structured game. I don't see the Canadiens, keeping up with them unless they're getting scoring from, everyone pretty much.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job of that so far, is getting that scoring by committee. But especially Alex Newhook, his production has been almost series saving or playoff run saving. Because without his big goals, I mean, they could have been a first round exit in now here they are in the Eastern Conference Final, and Alex Newhook is the difference maker for that. Of course, lots of other people chipped in and everything, but Newhook is the reason that they are where they are right now. Zach, what about you? What are some storylines that you'll be checking in on with the Hurricanes?
Yeah, I'm just looking to see, can that second line keep the ball rolling? Like they are like I said, one of the hottest lines. They have a bunch of guys who can make cases for the Conn Smythe. Taylor Hall, 9 assists, 12 points, plus 10 leads the Hurricanes in that category. Logan Stankoven, 7 goals. He's had an unreal run. A lot of people have been talking about him. You can even make a case for Jackson Blake. You're talking about a guy who 6 even strength points, 7 points overall, 1.75 points per game, led the Hurricanes in all those in round 2. Frederick Anderson, like we talked about, he could be making a case for Conn Smythe, how he's been playing. I'm looking at those guys. I'm looking at, can that top line, we talked about the Canadiens top line. The same thing for the Hurricanes. They're winning games without Aho, Jarvis, and Svechnikov really controlling a series. Now, if they get rolling, this could be a whole different ballgame that we're talking about, because they're getting it done by depth scoring without their top line really rolling. So if they get going, that's gonna be a big thing. I'm also looking at special teams. The PK has been great for the Hurricanes, and now a lot of people want to talk about how their power play percentage isn't that great. But if you really look at it in a microcosm, it's 5 power play goals in 8 games. It's not like they've scored 2 total. They've scored 5. It's just the number's so off because they've played teams who are very undisciplined. They've got a lot of power plays because the refs decided to make this the most penalized playoffs known to man, it seems like. So I'm looking at, can that get rolling too? So those are kind of the things I'm talking is looking at special teams. Can the goaltending keep up, and can, the top line kind of help filter out the second line and help them score, because they're shutting people down as a top group on that line, but can they add the scoring on top of that as well? And the health, this is the healthiest they've been going to the conference final. No Andrei Svechnikov, Jesper Foss, Brett Pesce in 2023, didn't have Jalen Chatfield or Sean Walker last year. You had to go down to some guys that maybe weren't totally ready. Now you have a whole team that's healthy and ready to go, and I think that's gonna be a big thing. And just, you feel like this is the most intense team that the Hurricanes have brought into the conference final, and I feel like they're on a mission right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go back to one of the things that you said kind of at the start of that, and back to Taylor Hall.
Mm-hmm.
If he wins the Conn Smythe, and this is just out of left field for both of you, if he wins the Conn Smythe, he's already got a heart.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
100%.
You think so? 100%? What do you think, Brian?
That really is out of left field. I'll say sure. I mean, he's definitely had a great career. Maybe not lived up to expectations that have come with, the first overall selection way back when. But, like you said, Hart Trophy, Stanley Cup, if the Hurricanes do go all the way, and if he adds Conn Smythe to his resume, sure. But, those are a lot of ifs. So...
Yeah, there are a lot of ifs. I don't remember who. Somebody, I think, on Twitter posted about that, and it's kind of been on my mind. I don't know if anybody has won a Hart Trophy and a Conn Smythe and is not a Hall of Famer, but I could definitely see the argument that Hall might be the first one. Again, like if he wins the Conn Smythe and the Stanley Cup and all these things. I don't know. He'd be very borderline, I think, and it would kind of depend on the last couple of years of his career.
I mean, I will say that from Montreal's perspective, there's ongoing debate as to whether or not Carey Price belongs in the Hall of Fame. I don't see it personally, but I think he would have needed to win a Stanley Cup. And if Hall is able to accomplish that feat, they both have hearts. So I imagine that would, get him in.
Yeah, that's fair. And that's a pretty deep. I mean, it's not an apples to apples comparison, but like it's the concept of that argument is kind of the same. And again, like, I mean, we're way off topic here, but Carey Price, like that's another very in between, like, especially with that 2015 year and how dominant he was. It's hard to say he doesn't belong, but again, he doesn't have that cup. And I don't know. A lot of that is to do with the team that was built around him, but I don't know.
I mean, look at, you're talking about pedigree and guys who've done the trophies and got all that. Rod Brindamore still isn't in, and look what he's done in his career. I mean,
that's true.
Make sense how he's still not in. With all these other guys,
I don't understand that. Like, I think when Alfredson and the Sedins got in all together, I think Brindamore goes in before any of them.
Yeah, he should have went with Alexander McGillney. Those guys should have went in together. But it's still mind blowing to me how with Rod Brindamore and what he's done with the multiple Selkies, the Stanley Cup, the points, and how many games he's done it in. Yeah, like, it's just like what's the real cause to not have him in there at this point?
Yeah, I think him and Pierre Turgeon and Alex McGillney were kind of the three biggest names, and and so I think Brindamore is next up. I think in terms of like the not first ballot or second ballot guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the series preview. A little bit of a tidbit in there for all Hurricanes and Canadiens fans watching. But let's head to some players to watch. So you guys mentioned a few already. But is there anybody you're keeping a special eye on? I'll start with you on this one, Zach.
Yeah, I'm really looking at I'm going to go a little bit off the board because we talk about the first line a lot and the second line. I'm really looking at the defense because the Hurricanes are really known for having their defensemen really jump into the play and stuff like that. In terms of goals wise, it's really surprising. Like Shane Gostisbehere doesn't have a goal yet in 8 games, and there's been times you're kind of like he's been so close, but it hasn't really cashed in yet. So I'm looking at Shane Gostisbehere. Can he get on the score sheet? You're looking at Condra Miller hasn't scored a goal yet, but he scored a few for them as well. Jalen Chatfield's got the shorthanded marker, but I'm looking at to see can the defense kind of work their way in it. So I'm really looking at Ghost. I'm looking at Miller to kind of hit that next level in terms of being able to get that done. And honestly, Miller and Sean Walker have been playing great defensively together, so I'm watching them as well. And looking at that third line of Jordan Stahl, Jordan Martinook, and Nikolai Ehlers, like those 3 guys, while shutting down the best players on the other teams that shutdown line, they can still score at will because we've seen that those guys can't score. Like Jordan Stahl had 20 goals for the first time in a decade. Nikolai Ehlers stayed healthy the whole year. That was the big question. Can Nikolai Ehlers stay healthy? He played every single game and had a career across the board, and he still has another 5 years on his contract. So I'm looking at that third line. Why you're still going to be shutting down the Canadiens' best players, are you going to be able to keep adding on to that depth scoring?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, and Miller has been so good as well. Like he's gotten quite a few assists, but like you said, they need a couple of goals from that blue line. Well, you would think that they do, but they haven't so far. They haven't needed that. But moving forward, they're definitely going to need some contribution back there. What about you, Ryan? Who are you going to keep an eye on this series?
We'll mention Dobesh. We mentioned Newhook. You can't really go without mentioning Lane Hudson, who leads the team in scoring. I believe that he passed Larry Robinson for the most assists in Canadiens history in a single season, plus playoffs combined. Yeah. So he's obviously he tied the regular season record with 66. So he's definitely, there's no denying that he's an elite defenseman, and wherever he goes, the Canadiens will follow in terms of success. Also, Ivan Demidov, he only has, I believe, 7 points so far. That officially leads all rookies in scoring in the playoffs, but it's obviously been underwhelming considering 14 games played, so half point a game. But he has nevertheless upped his game as far as I'm concerned over the last 2 games. He finally got on the score sheet with a goal in game 5, and he scored again in game 6. And I don't believe he got an assist on Newhook's series winner in game 7, but he did help force a turnover that led to the rush going the other way and ultimately the Newhook goal. So he's contributing in many ways, even if the point totals aren't where you would necessarily want them to be. All in all, yeah, it's like I said, it's going to be, if the Canadiens do manage to move on, it'll be everyone contributing.
Yeah, and I think with Demidov, like at the midway point of that series against Buffalo, you could read the frustration all over his face. He was quite emotional on the bench, and like a team like Buffalo, you would expect them to kind of take advantage of that and really shut him down, get him really frustrated. I don't think Carolina plays that kind of game where they would like target that player. They would just frustrate everybody by shutting everything down. But yeah, you kind of needed him to get a hold of his emotions there, and he did, and he snapped out of his kind of, I don't want to say drought because it's been pretty sporadic throughout the playoffs, but
you can say
he really woke up in the last 3 games of the series, and he was playing really, really well.
For sure.
So Ryan, what's going to be the X factor? Whether it's the penalty kill, the power play, the discipline, is it the top line scoring? Is it Dobish continuing? What's going to be the biggest X factors for you?
Well, discipline is a big one. The Canadiens lead all playoff teams with 247 penalties in minutes. When we last met, one of the talking points was the fact that the Sabres penalty power play had struggled so much. I get the sense that Carolina is about to unclog as well, just out of sheer opportunity that they're probably going to get, because the Canadiens have a tendency to take stupid penalties. And part of that is the refereeing, but let's call a spade a spade. The Canadiens could do better on that front. From there, yeah, it's just I'll say that's the main thing.
Yeah, and like special teams is what wins you playoff games, and you need your penalty kill to be better than their power play, and especially when you're giving them that many chances, like you got to cut back on that. Zach, what about you? What are going to be some of the biggest X factors for the Hurricanes?
Yeah, just kind of go along the same lines for the Hurricanes. I mean, they on average they lead on average time on ice shorthanded at 8 minutes and 32 seconds. They've gotten at least 5 times shorthanded on average, which leads both. And I think for the Canadiens, like, you don't want to give that team an opportunity on the power play, because we talk about Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slafkovsky. Those guys have really keyed in on the power play, not so much on 5-on-5. So if you limit the Canadiens' chances on the power play, I think you're really gonna have to force those guys to score 5-on-5, where they've been kind of more dialed in for that. And like what Ryan said, if the Canadiens keep taking the penalties, well, yeah, the Hurricanes are at 13.2%, but they have 5 power play goals in 8 games. You give them enough chances, they're going to find a way to start scoring goals, because they've made the Ottawa Senators, who are a young team that were undisciplined, pay for it. Same thing with the Flyers. The Canadiens are the youngest team since the 93 team to make it this far at 25.8 years old. Ryan said they take a lot of dumb penalties. If the Hurricanes can find a way to start scoring like they were, where they were the 4th best in the regular season, I think that's going to be a big key. So I think special teams on both sides is going to be very huge for the Hurricanes. And honestly, it's just goaltending. Goaltending needs to be strong still. Yeah, Freddie's got those great numbers, and he helped the Hurricanes be one of 5 teams to hold 2 teams to 2 goals or fewer through 8 games, and be one of 5 to start 8-0. And I think the 85 Oilers started 9-0. So I think that's where goaltending is still going to have to be very key, because yeah, you've swept the first 2 rounds, but the Canadiens do have a lot of weapons on that roster that could make you pay. So I think it's just finding a way to stay dialed into your system and keep smothering and keep making it hard for the other teams to shoot the pucks on the net.
Yeah, and I think one thing, like with the goaltending, Dobish has been, like, especially later in the series, he's been fantastic. Of the 4 starting goalies remaining, he has the worst goals against and save percentage. And I mean, he still has respectable stats. I think it's a 2.52 goals against and a 9.10 save percentage. Yeah. Very respectable stats. And he's been huge in the games that he needs to be, especially. But yeah, it ranks 4th among all 4 starting goaltenders left. And they're really going to need, and of course, Anderson is first. He pretty much leads the entire everything goalie stats wise, at least on a per 60 basis, because he hasn't played many games. So yeah, like Dobish has been great. He's got to take a step up to be able to match Anderson. And yes, he won the goaltending battles against Buffalo. They were running Alex Lyon and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen back and forth. They didn't even know who they were running with. It was a mess. He outdueled Vasilevsky. Full credit to him for that. And I love the confidence. Both of his Game 7 interviews with Kyle Bukauskas, fantastic. Like, he said he's ready to play 40 more games if he has to. I just love the attitude from him. He's such an easy guy to cheer for. So yeah, I think goaltending on both sides is worth mentioning as well. Keys to victory. You might mention goaltending. What do you think? What's it going to take for the Hurricanes to beat the Canadiens? I know it's going to be a lot of the same things they did in the first 2 rounds, because that's what got them here. But what in particular are you looking at for this matchup?
Just keep playing the system like you have. Nothing's changed. The Hurricanes play the same way, whether up 2 or down 2. They didn't fortunate to bring this up, Jacob. They didn't trail the entire time in the Senators series, and they trailed one time against, a couple times against the Flyers, but found a win game 2 to win in overtime, and got the game winner in game 4 in overtime. But they just found a way to just keep playing their same style. And the thing is, they're adding on to the top of the system. They're not changing their system. They're just adding layers to that system to make it better. And I think as long as you keep doing what you've been doing in terms of just smothering the other team, forechecking them to death, just not give them any opportunities, and just kind of play that really strong man-on-man 200-foot hockey, I think that's going to be a big thing for them. And like we talked about, goaltending, can the special teams be huge as well? So it's just, for me at this point, is stay healthy and just keep playing the system and don't change anything, because it's worked so far. If it's not broke, why fix it?
Yeah, and I mean, we've known this for years, but like the entire Hurricanes roster, just they all play like Rod Brind'Amour did, and like we talked about with the Hall of Fame conversation, like the Selkies, they all play the same way Brind'Amour did, and that's the whole team buy-in, and it's just incredible to watch. Honestly, no team has that much buy-in to their coach. I mean, you see, like especially the Wolf of Wall Street clip out of the Canadiens locker room with Marty St. Louis. That was fantastic. The guys love him. They're playing really well under him, but no team has the full buy-in the way that the Hurricanes do, I think. So Ryan, I'll go to you. What are going to be the keys to victory? I mean, right now the Hurricanes are a juggernaut. This is not quite a David versus Goliath, but it's similar. What do you think it's going to take?
I just like to mention that Nick Suzuki is the presumptive Selke winner this year.
Yes, for sure.
Not necessarily going to happen, but it's going to happen.
I think that's his trophy this year.
Yeah. I'd say goaltending, getting into Anderson's kitchen within the rules, of course. But I know that he's leading in all these categories. A lot has been made of the fact that the Canadiens are incredibly lucky. From a PDO perspective, the Hurricanes are actually on top of the Canadiens thanks to Anderson's save percentage. And I don't see that 950 staying as high as it is, just because how can it possibly when he was 874 during the regular season? So, I mean, that's true, is it not?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you talked about how Dobesh is like the last of the top of the 4 remaining goalies. I'd actually pick Dobesh, an upstart Dobesh, over any of the remaining starting goalies, just because he's proven to be consistent, well, with exception to 1 or 2 games, but he's proven to be the guy. And he, as you said, is incredibly confident. And speaking of that confidence, I don't think the Hurricanes would say so, and I would understand if they didn't. But I think they would have preferred to face the Sabres, not for the simple reason that the Canadiens swept the regular season series. And I'm not saying that the Hurricanes are scared of the Canadiens. I'm saying that they know that the Canadiens aren't scared of them. There is no intimidation factor whatsoever with regard to the Canadiens and how they're going to approach the series. You know, as Zach mentioned, that they are the youngest team since '93 Stanley Cup, 1993 Stanley Cup winning Canadiens to get this far at 25.8 years. No team has been younger than that to get this far since then. There's a lot of buy-in with regard to that. And this is an extremely confident bunch. They've also got really nothing to lose because no one really thought that they'd get to this point. And yeah, I think they're an extremely dangerous opponent for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I think you kind of mentioned, you didn't mention it specifically, but like the pressure on the Hurricanes, like the opposite of kind of where the Canadiens are at. The Hurricanes haven't won an Eastern Conference final game in a very long time. They're going to need to kind of dig in here. And I mean, there's no doubt that they're not going to get swept by the Canadiens. But
I don't know what that,
but it's going to be kind of on their mind is like, we've gotten skunked in the Eastern Conference final, and we need to not do that. And so hopefully they don't get in their own head too much. I doubt that happens, but I mean, it's a looming thing. And like, if it's same thing with Toronto, like get out of the first round. By the end of that round, everybody's talking about it and everybody's got their eyes on them. They're feeling it, whether they are good at, like, whether they have that distraction or not, it's still in their mind. Just hopefully it doesn't impact the Hurricanes. So, Zach, I'll go to you. Who is going to be your series MVP prediction?
Give me. I think he's going to pop off this series. Give me Seth Jarvis.
Ooh, I like it. He's a guy that he can take over a series. He was on the Olympic team for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, great pick. What about you, Ryan? Who's going to be your series MVP, do you think?
Svechnikov. I feel like he's due.
Yeah, I like that pick. I mean, both guys are like, they've been relatively quiet, like we've talked about. They've been great two-way players and haven't allowed anything. But they both have a lot more offensive potential than we've seen. And I mean, this second line on the Hurricanes has to step back at some point, and that first line has to take over. Or they don't have to.
No,
I don't know.
They don't have to. They don't have
I
to.
have a crystal ball in front of me here. So what about series predictions? Again, I'll start with you, Ryan. Who's going to take the series and in how many games?
Despite my joking earlier, I don't believe that the Hurricanes will sweep the Canadiens. I think that, well, I mean, I've said it before, like the last 2 times, I've gone 7 games and said that pick the Lightning in round 1. I picked the Sabres in round 2. But this time, I really believe it. Hurricanes in 7.
Fair enough. Maybe you just got the curse against the team.
I would never say so.
Zach, what do you think?
I'm not going to say sweep because I've not said sweep. I'm not someone who's going to ever predict sweeps because I don't want that voodoo out there. So I've been saying 5 or 6, and I'm sticking with my guns to a lot of other predictions I've done so far over the last, I don't know how many days it's been since we started previewing this. Give me Hurricanes in 6. They're going to close this thing out at the Bell Center. I'm
going to go with Zach, Hurricanes in 6 as well. I think I've gone against the Canadiens every round so far, doing these series previews, but proving me wrong. And they're an exciting team. I like, they're such a fun team to watch. But I am going to go Hurricanes in 6, and I think that they're going to meet the Avalanche in the finals, and just 2 juggernauts going head to head. I mean, like, it's going to be such a fun series. Final 4, like both series are going to be a lot of fun.
I will say Canadiens ex Nordiques final would be very nice as well.
That would be very fun. Or how fun would it be to see a game like either the Canadiens and Nordiques, or if they went Whalers jerseys and Nordiques jerseys? That would be so much fun.
You just got to take a fine and pay for it, but yeah, it should be all right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining me. This has been, again, the Hurricanes Canadian series preview. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out all the, well, I guess there's only one other series preview this time. And go check out Zach and Ryan's work on thehockeywriters.com, and make sure you sign up for the Substack to get all the latest content right to your email. We'll see you on the next episode.